The city of Blackthorn had long been whispered about in hushed voices. Its cobblestone streets and mist-laden alleys carried secrets older than time itself. Among those secrets was Dorian Valen, a vampire who had walked the earth for nearly 3 centuries. Dorian was not like the other creatures of the night. While his brethren indulged in their insatiable thirst for blood, he had spent decades trying to suppress his hunger. It was a losing battle, but one he fought relentlessly. He fed only when necessary, never taking a life, only sipping from those who would not remember his touch. One evening, as the moon bathed Blackthorn in silver light, Dorian found himself wandering through the marketplace. Humans bustled about, oblivious to the predator among them. It was there, amidst the scent of roasted chestnuts and candle wax, that he saw her, Eleanor Sinclair. She was unlike any human Dorian had ever encountered. Her laughter was like wind chimes in a summer breeze, her presence radiant in a way that stirred something deep within him, something other than hunger. But hunger was never far. Dorian began to watch Eleanor from a distance, drawn to her warmth like a moth to a flame. She worked at a small bookshop near the cathedral, spending her days surrounded by leather-bound tomes and dusty pages. She had a habit of humming to herself when no one was around, a melody that lodged itself in Dorian's mind. One evening, as she locked up the shop, she stumbled. Books tumbled from her arms, scattering across the pavement. Dorian, faster than any human eye could register, caught them before they hit the ground. "Careful," he murmured, handing them back. Eleanor looked up, her gaze locking onto his. Her eyes, the color of honey in the sunlight, widened slightly. "That was fast," she said with a soft laugh. "Thank you." Dorian felt his cold heart stir. He should have walked away, but he didn't. Days turned into weeks, and against all reason, Dorian and Eleanor grew close. He found himself lingering in the bookshop, listening to her talk about stories and dreams. But the more time he spent with her, the harder it became to ignore his thirst. The scent of her blood was intoxicating, more potent than any he had ever encountered. One night, as they walked along the riverbank, Eleanor shivered. Without thinking, Dorian removed his coat and draped it over her shoulders. "You're always so cold," she noted. Dorian hesitated. "Some of us run colder than others," she smiled. "Then I'll just have to warm you up." If only she knew. Dorian had spent centuries controlling his thirst, but Eleanor was testing his limits. Every time she laughed, every time she brushed against him, the hunger clawed at him. One fateful night, as they stood beneath the full moon, Eleanor reached for him, her fingers brushing against his cheek. The warmth of her touch was too much. Dorian pulled away sharply, his breath ragged. "Dorian, what's wrong?" she asked. He clenched his fists. "You should stay away from me, Eleanor." Hurt flashed in her eyes. "Why?" "Because I am not what you think I am." But she did not leave. Instead, she stepped closer, placing her hand over his chest. "Then show me." Dorian had never revealed his true nature to a human before. He had sworn never to do so. But Eleanor deserved the truth. With a deep breath, he let his fangs descend. The golden glow of his eyes pierced the darkness. Eleanor gasped but did not run. "You're a vampire." "Yes." She searched his face. "And you've been fighting it, for me." Dorian turned away. "I do not wish to hurt you." "Then don't." It was the simplest response, yet it held so much weight. But love was not enough to stop hunger. One evening, as Dorian hunted in the shadows, another vampire, Lucienne, appeared. You grow weak, Dorian, Lucienne sneered. Falling for a human? Do you think she will still love you when you sink your fangs into her throat? Dorian's rage flared. Stay away from her. Lucienne only laughed. Then you must prove your restraint. He presented Dorian with a challenge, a test of control. If Dorian could resist feeding on Eleanor for a full moon cycle, Lucienne would leave her alone. If he failed, Eleanor would be his. The days blurred together. Eleanor stayed by his side, unaware of the deadly game being played. The thirst was unbearable. Every night, Dorian felt his resolve weaken. He distanced himself, but Eleanor would not allow it. "Let me help you," she pleaded. "You do not understand," he whispered. "Then make me understand." She bared her wrist. "Drink, if it will help you." Dorian recoiled. "I could lose control." "But you won't." On the final night of the moon cycle, Lucienne struck. He cornered Eleanor in the bookshop, his fangs bared. Dorian arrived just in time. "You lose," Lucienne taunted. "Either you drink, or I will." Rage clouded Dorian's vision. He lunged at Lucienne, and the battle was fierce. Bookshelves shattered, glass rained down, but Dorian did not stop until Lucienne lay lifeless at his feet. Eleanor stood amidst the wreckage, trembling. Dorian turned to her, his chest heaving. "Now you see what I am." But she did not flinch. She stepped forward, pressing a hand to his face. "I see a man who fought against his nature for love." Dorian's throat tightened. "You are everything I cannot have." "Then take what you can," she whispered. And so he did, not her blood, but her heart.